All right, so I'm probably gonna go on a long one here. Um, I guess you can jump in if you want, but I'd rather you not do it.
I'll just add like whatever I have to add in the beginning before you get in.
No, you
Oh,
just
you
go.
know, I'll just jump
No,
in.
no, no, don't jump in. Just go. Just say what you have to say first.
No, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
Okay, I don't have a lot to say. Like I really don't.
Yeah, because then I'd rather you just not jump in. Then
I just wanted to give my opinion on the whole like clowning people thing.
go ahead.
That's gonna be no, but just I'll just jump in when you get there.
No, just go ahead.
Okay, I'm not gonna just start off with that. So you go ahead. You go. You.
No, you go ahead.
Actually, no. I'll go after you. That makes sense.
Okay. So if I did this earlier, I probably would have cried on the camera, but and I'm not the one that really is invested in celebrity lives or anything like that. But this Virgil one, first and foremost, obviously it came out the blue, which was so random. But it's also the impact and legacy that he's had, and really just I can't really call it a short period of time because he's been doing this for a long time, in a bunch of different ways that people probably don't even realize, and his impact and influence. So this one definitely caught me off guard. He's definitely somebody that I look, and I will say look, not look up to, in terms of his attention to detail, design, creativity, his influence, and impact. It's definitely something that's astronomical, not really something that we've seen too often from really any designer in general, but especially from a Black American. So his impact to me is definitely runs deep in terms of how I view design, the way I view clothing, and and his impact definitely will last for a very long time. He's made some of the most impactful album covers, some of the most impactful sneakers, some of the most impactful
Merch.
clothing lines, merch. He's done a lot. Definitely done a lot for the community as well. That doesn't really get talked about too often. And giving back and always being one of the people and always being available for people to, ask for ideas or have ideas get bounced off of him and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I got like a ton of stuff to say. I was actually going to just do this as a separate video aside from this podcast. But I don't even know where to start. Like, if you take Virgil is one of the people that birthed streetwear. We talk about everybody that came from the Kanye Academy, like Heron Preston, Don C, Matt Williams, Virgil, and I'm definitely forgetting some other designers as well. But Virgil was definitely one of those pioneers early on.
What's the name? Jerry Lorenzo?
Yeah, Jerry Lorenzo was from Kanye Academy. There's a significant amount of people, but Virgil, Matt Williams, they started out as a DJ collective, and that birthed the Pyrex gear, which created a catastrophic snowball effect that I don't think anybody would have thought of. Something that we definitely have never seen before. My mouth is gonna get really dry because I'm doing a lot of talking, but no, it's all right. And they started Pyrex, and that just created this whole downstream effect and literally burst
Like
streetwear,
graphics,
because
right?
before that, graphics, of course, existed forever. They didn't reinvent the wheel, but what they did was they took the wheel and revolutionized it, and made it to what it is today. Like, the reason why I made this hoodie, but the reason why my graphics look the way they do on stuff that I make, the reason why graphics look like the way they do on stuff that other people wear, the way that made like a whole line, like the way it impacted all of high fashion, Gucci's and all these other clothing companies. They never did that before, with their logos and things like that. Of course, they did graphics with their logos on it, but they completely made it a focus to make those types of clothings because of the impact that it had. And we see how that's changed everything forever. Like, the reason why we get the way Dior is now. I hate Dior now. I think Dior now is terrible, terrible designs. But the reason why it is the way it is now, then this is not saying this is Virgil's fault for Dior being terrible, but it's because these high fashion brands took something that wasn't authentic to their brands, which was Virgil's kind of more or less original concept, and then they tried to apply it to their own brands, and they weren't able to really do it. And they're successful, of course, nonetheless, but still, just seeing the impact that these companies have, like that Virgil's had on these companies, it's definitely been crazy. Like going from Pyrex, and then obviously that turned into Off White, which probably not even probably is the biggest streetwear brand. I would almost argue. I don't know if I could argue this, but I would almost argue that Off White has been more impactful than Bape, which is probably a wild statement to say, especially from people in streetwear as well. But especially because Off White came off of Bape, and I'm sure there was some influence there. But just seeing the way that it changed how everybody dresses, because Bape was people that were wearing that. It was such a small, specific group of people, almost like skate culture. But like when people used to wear Dunks, it was such a small group of people. But Off White transcended all of that, and it reached everybody, which is why I would argue that it's been more impactful. And just seeing how that again has influenced designs everywhere. The quotation marks has been ripped off by every company in what I call mall fashion. All those stores that I don't personally shop at, but places like Zara, H&M, all of them.
Forever 21.
Aside from Yeezy's influence, like the Yeezy brand's influence on the way they dressed, the next thing in terms of graphics, all of that was ripped from Virgil. And then also the Off-White Nike collabs. Can't say that Virgil was the first one to really make to like set that off. I think you could give Kanye to a large degree credit for that, but the one that kind of revitalized Nike in terms of what they were doing, there wasn't really a whole lot going on at Nike in terms of revolutionary designs. Like in between the time the Yeezy 2 came out and then the Off-White Virgil shoes came out, there were some things like the Air Max came out, cool.
The Silver Bullets came back out.
I don't know if the self-lacing shoes came out within that time between the first 10 and Kanye's Yeezy 2. I don't know. But basically, long story short, there hasn't.
Everybody's attention was on Adidas. You can admit Adidas.
Yeah,
was
everybody, Ultra Boost, and there was a lot of revolutionary ideas going on at Adidas, but Nike was kind of stalled. Like they really only have done Huaraches and Air Force Ones and 9,000 different colorways, and I feel like Virgil took sneaker models that people weren't even really caring for anymore and kind of revitalized it, made it something like completely Blazers, different. Right? Yeah, like Blazers. Nobody was wearing Blazers. Not anymore. Like obviously the Blazers are our old shoe and people used to wear them. Like if you go back and watch old movies, you'll see the Blazers pop up. But Virgil was able to take that, revitalize it, and then rebirth this whole sneaker culture and that whole downstream effect with like the way Travis's shoes have an impact alongside Yeezys, because Yeezys were still dropping alongside Virgil stuff too. But it's basically Virgil gave people the ability. I kind of want to credit Kanye too, but Kanye leaving Nike gave people the ability to make collabs with Nike. So we'll give Kanye credit for that. But then the person that took that and made it explode into something completely different, which again gives you the collabs like J Balvin and I think it's J Balvin has Jordans, Travis Scott, and any of those additional collabs. All that stuff is like Virgil's influence with the impact that he had with the sneaker drops, from the original 10 to everything after that. And obviously we saw what the price was for those sneakers, so very sought after. I was lucky enough to get one. I got a lot of. I'm not even gonna rattle them off, but I had a lot of them.
You had like the multiple Blazers, Air Force Ones.
Okay, so you'll rattle them off.
The Chicago ones. What's the ones we have now? What are they called? The white ones?
Yeah, I had a lot of them.
Yeah. Prestos. Obviously, we had both Prestos.
There's more than two. There was three.
Oh yeah, there was three. But you had the first two. Or no? Yeah, the first two. Mm-hmm. You had a lot. Now that I think about it,
Yeah,
did you have two of the Air Force Ones? Did you get the black ones too? I forgot. You just had so many.
yeah. I had a lot of the off white collabs.
I still remember the day do you remember the day that they dropped? I was in the lab, I think, at work,
That's
and so
fine.
were you. We were trying to get them.
And I hit.
Yeah, that's when you got them. I didn't. I didn't. I failed that first drop. Oh my god. My first ones were these, the UNCs. I got them May 2018 during that surprise release. You actually got them for us, but I would have got them too. If I should have got them myself a pair too, right? Even though you got them, I should still got one to flip.
Yeah. Um,
And I got to press those that summer too. Second presses.
yeah. So I credit Virgil with a lot of the future sneaker collabs forever now from Nike because Nike saw what that did culturally. And I would credit Virgil honestly for even the revitalization of the dunks because it kind of like that whole downstream effect from people becoming more woke about shoes and sneakers and stuff. I credit Virgil for that with the off white collabs. I credit Virgil with honestly even the sneakers app, like that whole process. I credit him with that because that was like a big
That's
learning
where like it
point with
started
yeah,
too.
like with
Cause
just
Nike
future
saw,
releases.
like I said, Nike saw Kanye's impact, and they have their shoe now, like their shoes, and like the sneakers app, like like it was like the confirmed app. And the sneakers app already existed, but it's like these anticipated drops kind of died down
Yeah.
for them at least.
So yeah, and Nike will eat off of his legacy for a while. He has a bunch of unreleased stuff as well. So the family will definitely be able to keep continuing to make money off that stuff. So that's good. And yeah, he really just revolutionized a lot. But with all that being said, none of that to me. Also, the quotation marks as well. I briefly spoke about that, but that was definitely people can say what they want about the quotation marks, but we can't deny how much of an impact that had as well. Because I've
That
seen
whole
so many
deconstructed thing.
I've seen so many people like so many companies replicate and make dupes off of that. Like it's just crazy seeing how far it's gone. As
It's
well as like his
crazy.
IKEA collabs. So much that he's done. The legendary album covers he's made. My favorite one that he made was the 808s and Heartbreak
Yeah,
album cover.
that was crazy.
It took me years.
Like the deflated heart.
Yeah, it took me years to find out that the heart is actually a deflated balloon in the shape of a heart. Very fire, iconic album cover. As well as Watch the Throne, Cruel Summer, some of the Little Uzi ones, some of the Little Uzi album covers. He's done a lot.
There's one like I saw. It was like Wizard.
And if I'm not mistaken, he's a doctor as well. If I'm not mistaken, hopefully I'm not misspeaking, but
Here's a video of
he
all of
went to
them.
school with he went to school for architecture. But the album covers here. This is a West Side Gun. I think it's Pray for Paris is the name of that album. Yeah, Kid Cudi album covers, Two Chains, ASAP
ASAP.
Rocky, Big Sean. It looks like is in here. There's just a lot that he's done and impacts that he's had that you just wouldn't
Like we said, the merch
necessarily
stuff, all the Life of
understand.
Pablo merch,
Merchandise in general
Travis.
forever was changed because like even Jerry Lorenzo being able to get the collab with Justin Bieber, even though Jerry threw his own sauce on it, that for the Purpose tour was Jerry's merch. But even that was like all that stuff kind of it all kind of comes from Kanye, but we also credit Virgil as well for any of those things. So what else? I think that's really it on the design aspect. But
Yeah.
definitely his studio, the way he lays things out, materials, his ability to play around with different ideas and stuff like that. It's tremendous. I always loved the women's off white stuff. Eventually it became very hype beastie on the men's side with people just,
Just the graphics.
yeah, the graphics became a lot. But I'm sure a lot of that was after he sold off white anyway, to be honest. But he still owns the the trademark
Yeah, it was
patent
weird 'cause we were
copyright or
just were
something.
talking about this. Remember?
Yeah,
Why did I feel like we were talking about it on the pod?
but that was months ago. We weren't talking
Yeah.
about that on the pod. We didn't even
Okay.
have a pod at that point.
Oh, yeah, that was so long ago.
It was a really long time ago.
We were talking about this, yeah.
But
We were just talking about Off-White yesterday. That's the crazy part. Like we saw somebody wearing the Prestos at the mall.
but to me at least, none of that stuff really matters. Because what I've seen a lot. I mean, everybody reacts to death in whatever way they want to react to it. But everybody's reaction that I've seen has been about the clothes, unfortunately. People posting sneakers and jackets and off-white stuff and all that kind of stuff, which I do understand, because people did the same thing with Kobe. Not too many people had Kobe's. Only the real the real ones had Kobe's, but people definitely deal with death in a different way, where people are posting the items. To me, when it comes to Virgil, that stuff is kind of like it almost doesn't matter. I think that his legacy and impact is far beyond just that. His ability to him and Kanye interning at forget what, I think they interned at Fendi, and then Virgil basically being able to take a brand from scratch that was nothing and then flip that into an opportunity to work at the pinnacle of fashion houses and Louis Vuitton. Being tasked with being able to be the director of the menswear line for one of the richest people in all of human history, that owns all of this
Like
stuff.
the fact that like literally you have Bernard on Arnault like releasing a statement today, like that just shows like you really made it. Like that's crazy.
To me, that's really the only thing that anybody should say today. Obviously, the sneakers, all that stuff is cool as well.
That's why, like, sorry to interrupt, but I posted all that. Like, when I posted the sneakers out, I posted us at the Louis Vuitton pop up. I was like, that's crazy that he made it that far. Like, I posted everything. I posted him being a DJ. Because, like, I think it's weird because we just were talking about being at the Travis Scott show a few weeks ago on the podcast. But also at that show, we saw Virgil, like, in 2017. And I was like, that was your first time seeing him in person, too, right? Our first and only time. I don't think we've seen him after that. Unless we just didn't know. Because you work in New York, so you might have walked past him and didn't even know before. But, yeah, he does a lot of stuff. He DJs too. Like he was a really good DJ. So yeah, that's why I make sure to show everything. I'm like the DJing, the fashion, the sneakers.
Yeah.
It's a combination of things that made him like who he is and his impact.
Being the first black head of any line at Louis Vuitton, that to me is the legacy. Him basically being able to open doors for other black designers as well. In the future, I think that we'll see a lot more black designers in these high spaces that, for whatever reason, us black people try to get into. We'll call them the white spaces.
Instead of creating our own. But
yeah, we'll see a lot more being able to do this because of Virgil's impact. So that to me is the legacy. It's what he did and how it's going to define the future and how it's going to make these companies billions of dollars moving forward.
these high end brands are looking. They're probably gonna be looking towards the streets now. The street. We want to say like they're gonna be looking at what our culture's wearing. They already been doing it for years, but now more than ever.
Yeah, and that to me is the most important thing. Like, I could care because the human lost their life, so I could care less about sneakers and how much resale is for this or what this is that is. Like, I really don't care about that. But when we take a look at what he was able to accomplish in really a relatively short period of time and how it's going to impact the future and how it's going to generate billions of dollars, how we got representation in one of the industries where it's almost okay to exclude people of our skin tones. And I don't mean just putting a dark-skinned person up on the runway. I'm talking about being able to run and design these things, like put people in the room that are making you the billions of dollars, right? Like it doesn't make sense that Kanye is not on one of the boards of Adidas. That to me doesn't make sense.
That's sick.
And
When literally Yeezy had the craziest impact.
And Virgil to me is that representation. So that is his legacy and that's the impact and that's what I'll remember him by. It's not going to be the quotations in the air on the side of the shoes. It's not going to be any of that stuff. It's what he was able to do, and unfortunately, what he wasn't able to do as well. And there was a lot more work to be done, and that's how I'm personally going to remember him. But to keep going, I got like another 20 minutes in me on Virgil. I could go all day.
Sorry to interrupt too. Like you said, it does suck. 'Cause he really only got like a few lines out with Louis Vuitton too. When you think about it, like wasn't the first one in 2019? Oh no, it was 2018. That show where Kanye was crying, that was 2018. So it's been a few years, but it just doesn't seem like it. I think the pandemic kind of made it seem like it. Yeah. But sorry, go ahead.
Next thing, Virgil unfortunately dealt with a lot of scrutiny over the last couple of years for some very interesting things. So, first and foremost, and this is a thought that I've had just in general, this is conversations that I've had in general. This is me not now supporting Virgil. Like we mentioned, I've supported Virgil since the rip, since before we even knew each other.
I know,
which is crazy.
That's what I was saying. Like I knew about Pyrex, but I didn't really back then. Like when I knew about stuff, I didn't really like. This might be bad, but I didn't really care about the people behind it. But I knew about Pyrex for a minute. Like I think India Love put me on the Pyrex.
Time out. I definitely misspoke earlier. Matt Williams and Virgil made Ben Trill together. They did not make Pyrex. My bad. I misspoke. They didn't make Pyrex. Pyrex was a Virgil thing.
Yeah. But then Ben Trill was like he had a combine.
Yeah, so I misspoke.
And that's when I knew who Virgil was from Ben Trill, because that's when you first told me about Virgil. That was freshman year.
Yeah, 2014.
Yeah, so it's almost 10 years.
Yeah, so he's gotten a lot of scrutiny, mostly because I think first was the $50 donation thing. To what was that for? Was that Black Lives Matter or something? It was $50 to get people out of jail or something.
Yeah.
No matter what it was.
That's when the scrutiny started.
It's a shame that happened too, because he apparently already donated tens and tens of thousands of dollars. But what he was trying to give as the message was that he wanted people to match the donations that other people were doing as well. So he, at that point, when he posted the $50 screenshot or whatever the thing was, the two Virgils that everybody, the joke was funny.
Oh yeah, that two Virgils thing came from.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He already had posted tens of thousands of dollars, which had to have been painful for him to have already donated all that money. But then people's perception is that you only donated like $50 or whatever it was, and that and then now you look crazy if you're like, no, look, I actually posted this much money, like, and then it's like. So it was really a no win-win situation. I see what he was trying to do, but, it's just unfortunate that happened. But I don't think that he should have got killed for it, especially because people are so quick to, like, run and, like, point the finger and laugh.
Like, they were like, oh, Virgil makes all this money off us black people, and then look what he does. Like,
yeah, that's psycho behavior. But also because of the Pop Smoke album cover.
Yeah. Like literally ever since then, like his comments on Instagram have been disgusting.
And everybody's entitled to their opinion about the cover. I don't personally even remember what the cover looked like. I think it was like a diamond or something.
I just saw it. It was like Pop Smoke literally in the middle of diamonds.
Yeah. Okay. I remember it.
I just saw it.
I remember it in my head. Definitely have whatever opinions you want to have, but people also ended up killing him because of the quotation marks and stuff too. And one thing that I want to say about this is that and I'm talking about black people as a culture, because I don't care what other races have to say about what we do in our culture at all. Like they're disregarded. I don't care.
That's why you ever see white people say stuff about rapping and people be like, "You're white." Like, sorry, I don't care. Honestly, I don't care about your opinion on rap.
Yeah.
You're right.
And I feel the same way. So one thing, I'm speaking to the black people, we're so divisive over every single thing and why we never accomplish it. And this is one of those things where we'll take the most like mediocre and whack thing that any white brand, high end brand does, and run with it and be like, oh, it's amazing. But the second a black designer does something, then we instantly kill them for it, say we're not paying his money for it, and all this other shit. And it's like we want to force ourselves to be accepted by white people so badly, and that we're like tearing down our own black people in the process. Where if any other brand, if Gucci just started putting Gucci quote in quotations on any shirt, people would be first to go sprint in line to go buy it. And just because the black designer did it doesn't make it now whack. And he unfortunately had to deal with that stupid shit before he passed away, with people being like, oh, he's just putting quotations, he's not a good designer. It's like, whoa. It's like, first of all, go look at all the stuff that he's done in general. Like,
People don't even know all the other stuff.
They
That's the
don't.
thing, they just know Off-White.
And that's their problem. Like, if you
Like he was literally the artistic director for a reason of Louis Vuitton.
of Kanye West. So, and the reason why you dress the way you dress is because of his direct influence as well.
Literally.
Whether you like it or not, the reason why you wear your pants a certain way, the reason why you wear your t-shirts look a certain way is because of him. Whether you're wearing his brand directly or not.
Yeah, it's all influenced from his designs.
And
A lot of it.
even Kanye stuff, like people will credit Kanye with these things, but it's the people behind the scenes. Kanye has a design team.
And Virgil has been a part of that design team
Since the beginning.
Jump.
That's why
like,
you
look
see-
at any old picture of Kanye. Virgil's most times in the background. He's there.
Yeah, that's a lot of this came from Virgil. It didn't come from Kanye in the first place. So people need to recognize that. The reason why some of these designs and the reason why Kanye's Yeezus tour merch might look a certain way, it's not from Kanye directly. Kanye has a design team always. The Yeezys themselves are from a design team. It's not made from Kanye from scratch. It might be his idea, but it's always a team of people. But we kill Virgil. We kill. And I hate to use that word, but we killed Virgil so much over. Not we, y'all killed Virgil so much over things that if some other white brand made it, you guys would have been fiending for it. And we as black people got to stop doing that, because all we're doing, it's like the same reason why nobody goes to like the Soul Train Awards, but everybody goes to the Grammys. It's the same
BET
exact
Awards.
thing. It's like we don't even love ourselves enough. And not saying that you have to love something a black creator made just because you're black, but it is very obvious that if somebody else did the same thing, because y'all eat it up, because I see it. It's like you'll kill Off-White for a specific design. This shirt is $300, and people saying I'm not going to pay $300 for this, but let it be a Givenchy shirt, let it be Gucci, let it be Versace, and you'll pay it effortlessly. And not only that, you'll go to the store just to feel cool and walk out with a bag and record yourself with this. And I just hate that, right? And like he unfortunately was one of the people impacted by black people's divisiveness.
Yeah, and literally the last few years of his life now.
Yeah,
And that's like, so sad.
that's a probably a terrible feeling on your way out.
Yeah. And now those same people were posting on their story, rip. Like,
Yeah,
come
R.I.P.
on.
Like that's crazy.
You was very giddy about the whole two Virgil jokes and the Pop Smoke stuff. And like, I get it. We could clown each other. That's a part of our black culture. Like, we clown each other, you know? But people just took it too far and kept going. Like I said, out of curiosity, I literally was in his comments on Instagram like a few months ago. Out of curiosity, 'cause I was like, you know what happened? I'm like, I don't even follow Virgil on Instagram. Let me see what people are saying in his comments. A lot of mean stuff still. It's like, now you're going beyond our little jokes. You know, we joke. Our black people, we joke. And he probably was laughing at some of the stuff too. But we take it too far sometimes.
Or he wasn't.
Yeah, or he wasn't. Or he was like, damn.
Or maybe he was sick that day, because everybody knows somebody that died from cancer, but if you haven't been around somebody that actually has cancer, or been around somebody that has actually died from cancer.
Yeah, some days are bad.
Some days are because people just be like, oh, they had cancer and then they died. But you don't see people throwing up, not able to walk, not being able to do all these different things, and people in the comments like making jokes and everything's funny. And I don't think that people would have made those same jokes if they knew. But regardless, people
Just
should treat people
yeah.
better.
Like literally after the Chadwick thing, that was supposed to be the whole thing we were supposed to learn. Like, look what you guys did. He was making fun of him. He was sick. Like, I thought after that we would have stopped, but people are still doing it.
It don't make any sense to me.
Still doing it about, like, you know me, I'm a huge Kanye fan. Like, even how people do a lot with Kanye. It's like, you know, I get it. We're going to agree to disagree, but one day he's going to pass and everybody's going to be so sad. It's like, why not just appreciate these people now that they're here and just like stop being like clowning everybody? Like, not everything has to be clowning people.
Yeah, and if you don't like something, just don't like it, but keep that shit to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, and this is not specific to Virgil so much as this is applicable to everything and everybody. Like, people think that just because they have a Twitter and they just have a Instagram and a YouTube account, that they're just entitled to say whatever they want and do whatever they want. And they're able to, basically, because there's no repercussions. Like the person that said that clown Virgil, now that he's gone, like they're not gonna, they don't have any impact onto him. Like
The only thing is now they might feel stupid if they post something in their story, and now they're gonna go back and that comment that might have 4,000 likes is gonna be at the top. Now you gotta delete it because now how crazy you look.
or now it's too late because somebody already screenshotted it.
Yeah,
But just in general, that wasn't so much specific to Virgil, but really just mostly in general.
stop treating people like.
I don't understand it.
And those same people would like those same people who do that would not be able to handle it if it was the other way around. Like they wouldn't be able to handle a day of fame.
They wouldn't say it to the person's face.
They wouldn't. They would be asking for autographs, taking pics, trying to get selfies together.
Or tweeting. They would have definitely tweeted, "Oh, I saw Virgil today."
Yeah.
Like he's like, you like that's the whole thing. Like that's what it's just comical, bro. And that's the thing. Like one thing is for certain is that you are going to die in life, but most people that die in life are going to be unknown with no legacy left behind. But you're clowning somebody that will have a legacy, and that's the thing.
Yeah,
Still, one person that will be immortal, and then
yeah. And the only thing you did was put a comment underneath his post. I got a couple thousand likes. That's your legacy.
Yeah, that's all you did for the day, and that's something that nobody will even remember. Like they wouldn't even remember after somebody likes your little comment. They're not even gonna remember the next day that they even liked the comment in the first place. Like,
you know how many comments people like that don't even remember at all what they liked?
It's crazy.
People do it all the time. They're like, "Dang, I didn't even remember liking that. When that like that?" Like when they pull people's tweets back up.
Yeah.
People don't remember you. You're not famous. You got a couple hundred likes on your little comment or post. Like people move on. It's funny. I was just thinking about that the other day. I always wonder. Me. I have these random thoughts. I wonder if there was a way like every single person I commented or like interacted with on social media, if we all were in one room, they probably wouldn't even know who I was. Like, why am I here? Right? Like, who? It's funny. I just randomly had a thought. I had my weird thoughts. And I was like, what if everybody I ever mentioned and talked to on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok, we're all in one room? Everybody would probably be like, why am I here? Who is this? And I remember commenting, and I remember us talking, right? Like, that's just reality.
Yeah. So that was my long rant about Virgil's death. But rest in peace, Virgil. This one definitely hurt me a lot. When he said I don't even know if it was a couple years ago, a couple months ago, but when he said streetwear was dead, it might have been last year when he said streetwear is dead.
That was like before the pandemic. It was like 2019.
He wasn't lying, because now there's going to be no direction, because everybody was just ripping off of Virgil anyway. So now there's going to be no direction. So
and it's weird. Remember you said that earlier. You feel like maybe he said that because he knew that's when he got diagnosed. And I'm pretty sure he said that in 2019. They said he got diagnosed in 2019. And I feel like he said that statement like end of 2019. So it makes you think. Like if he was saying that by himself, right? Like it was kind of him hinting. And everybody goes on his neck about that too. What do you mean it's dead, Virgil? Like, you don't know nothing. Oh, I was like, yep, he doesn't know nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Because everybody be dressing like they lost, so clearly.
Yeah.
It looked very lost to me.
But it's crazy. In a way, he kind of was right, though. Like, even the way that, like, how I'm literally selling all my stuff, and I'm over a lot of stuff. I'm over, like...
You see people more in tune with high fashion now. I'll even give them credit for that. Like, well, yeah. I don't even know if I want to, but I kind of want to, because
a little bit, because once he had that Louis Vuitton collab,
that opened up so many people to like a whole different thing.
And people were watching his fashion shows, and they saw it was more than just the quotations.
Yeah, it's more than that. Virgil was actually a really good designer, and that's why it's a painful thing that the most popular things are usually I won't say his line was corny, but it's the most easily digestible, I will say. It's easily digestible to see a logo plastered everywhere. Not that he did that, but I'm saying in general, it's the reason why people like the Dior, where there's Dior all over the place, and Louis Vuitton, where there's Louis Vuitton all over the place, or Goyard, where there's Goyard all over the place. Like, people like those things. But there's so much more to fashion houses and these brands outside of just them plastering their logos everywhere. They make some
really good stuff,
and that's what quality. He showcased. Mm-hmm. But he was doing that in general with Off-White, but nobody ever paid attention to that because people just wanted to have the stripes and the little X on the back, because that gave him a status thing. But whatever. Rest in peace, Virgil. That's all I got.
This was like definitely shocking. Literally caught me off guard. I was watching somebody's story. somebody, I think it was like a TikToker or somebody who I followed, and I was just like, I was actually I watched like back to back stories. Like I watched like it was like a couple celebrities, and then I watched the TikToker. I'm like, why is everybody posting this Virgil pic? And nobody was commenting anything. So I thought, I'm like, all right, the Virgil just dropped something. Like, why is everybody posting this? And I clicked the post, and I was like, wait, what? And then I told you, I was like, wait, somebody Virgil died? And you're like you were just like in shock. Like I was like, this, because that's not what you expect, you know. It was kind of like the Chadwick death because I was like, it was like the same type of impact because it was like we didn't even know they were sick, you know. And it's like how, like usually when you hear deaths, it's usually something tragic, like accident or something. But then it's like cancer, like we didn't even know he was sick. Yeah, definitely caught us off guard today. It's just yeah, like you just don't expect that, you know. I don't know. It's like we all know we're gonna die one day, but you just expect everybody's gonna die old, you know. Like you don't think in your mind Virgil's gonna die in this 2021. Like that just doesn't even sound right. But yeah, honestly, you kind of touched on all the points I was gonna add. I just wanted to make sure I put emphasis, and I hope everybody clowning him, and now it's Rip. And then I wanted to bring up how I was happy that we got to see him in person, and we've supported his stuff like beyond the off white collabs. Like I said, we went to that his pop up shop in 2019. It was July 2019, and where were we? It was on how you say that, Ludlow Street. It was like was that Soho? It's like Soho. Like, I don't know. Is that even Soho? It is near. It's like I think it was Soho. I'm pretty sure it was. I don't know. I'd be forgetting my parts in here sometimes. But yeah, we were over there in 2019, and we saw his whole collection. At the we had it was like a walkthrough, and like a lady walked through. We actually have that. Do you have it on your YouTube channel too? Yeah, and I have it on mine. So we have it on our channels if anybody was interested. But yeah, we saw the menswear collection in 2019. And that was cool to see us have a person, And then you got one of the sneakers from that collection, that those Louis Vuitton, the green and white sneaker. That's like green and like cream colored. So yeah, we've always been supporting beyond the off white. Like Alex said, he's been a fan for so long. Like I knew of Pyrex and Ventral and all that stuff, and then Alex put me onto Virgil when I met him. Getting that, I had more of a passion for who's behind it. Like once I met Alex, like he kind of put me on more into like actually understanding who's behind these things, and that's when literally like when we started dating. That's literally when I started like getting knowledge about all those people. Like that Matt Williams, like with Alix, and like Cherry Lorenzo with Fear of God, like Kanye obviously with Yeezy. Like I got started actually making sure I acknowledge who's designing, who's behind these brands, and not just wearing them just to wear them. So yeah, Virgil was definitely one of those people in that list of all the people that you put me on to, and then yeah, I'm happy we got to see him. I didn't even know that was him when he first came out. I was like, is that Like I have it on videos. Like, is that Virgil? Like I couldn't even tell if that was him or not. And then yeah, he told us to calm down because everybody was wilding out during that show. Yeah, very unexpected and sad. Yeah, hopefully like his family is gonna be okay. And I just think about people like Kanye. Kanye doesn't seem like he takes death well, so I know he's probably messed up, right? Because that was like his best friend. Like they were like brothers. So yeah, and I know people keep bringing up, oh, they were just fighting, and Kanye this and Kanye that. It's like, okay, yeah, best friends fight. Like people fight sometimes, people argue, but it's like you think that takes away from the fact that you're gonna be distraught over someone's death. Like I hate when people do that. People always want to bring it up like they probably don't have conflict with somebody right now in their life. Like, and I don't know if Kanye knew about him being sick. Honestly, like you brought up Chadwick, didn't tell anybody. Only people who knew his family. So it could have been the same thing with Virgil. He might not want to. He might not want wanted to. Mess up people like that. So, yep. Sad news. Definitely kind of ruined my vibe for the day. But yeah, just make sure that we appreciate his legacy. And it's gonna be interesting to see like what he had in like in the tuck. What's gonna come out. Definitely the value of his stuff is gonna skyrocket. Like anything off white is going to be or Louis Vuitton mints is gonna be like very valuable. So yeah, but I think one key takeaway is just appreciate people out of here. Like I hate that people don't appreciate people until they're gone. We gotta stop doing that. It's like freaking annoying because like it's literally a repeated process of people being rude or being a certain way to people and then them dying and it's like, oh my god, so sad. It's like I hate that. So be nice to people out here and spend every day like it's your last, and just try to be mindful about your health and do anything we can to try to prevent these things. Sometimes you just can't prevent them, but do the things that you can do to prevent. Eat right, work out, just anything to keep yourself alive. Because this is outside of what happened to Virgil, but lots of times people don't really take care of themselves, and then you leave people behind that are going to be distraught about your death. So, yep. You have anything else, or you wrap it up? I feel like we've been good on this 1 hour 45 minutes.
Rest in peace, Virgil. That's all I got. You got anything else? Mm-mm. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. This has been the A Couple of Things podcast where we talked about a couple of things. I am Alex. This is Mao, and we are signing off.
That's not a good outro.
It's not a good outro?
Don't put that.
It's your boy Alex G.
What's that song where Kanye says, Virgil, Pyrex, Dancy, Snapback? I am a god. That's the song. I'm going to play that. You know what? That's actually might have been the first time I heard Virgil's name. It definitely was. And I heard that song before I knew you.
No, we
Kanye put me onto Virgil, actually.
Let's give him some. You want to give him some Virgil songs?
The only 2 songs I know that have his name in is the Drake one, the Virgil in Your Circle, and I Am a God. I feel like there's definitely other references. Quavo has given him shout outs. Cause the thing he talked about has Off-White.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can open up. My iTunes is wild. I need Apple to get in contact with me because my iTunes doesn't work.
There's a website that you can look up lyrics and you type in a word from lyrics and it'll pull up every song that had that.
Oh, we got a whole advertisement.
Life is Good had Virgil mentioned.
Come on, girl.
That's the Virgil in My Circle. Oh.
Rest in peace, Virgil.
Am I done? I forgot that one. We're going to get copyrighted.
Come on, we getting copyrighted for Virgil. Yeah, that paddock was in fact nuts.
That's the one that Kanye was mad about?
That is the one, the legendary paddock. Yeah. All right, that's it. I could do a bunch of songs with Virgil
He's in that
references.
song?
Yeah.
Griselda?
Yeah, Griselda. Come on. Come on.
Dang. Yeah, a lot of references.
Come on. I'm not going to even be able to find it. All right, wait, here we go. Come on, rest in peace, Virgil. Come on, Virgil. Told Virgil, right brick on my brick.
Now I gotta play I Am a God.
Come on.
Virgil, Pyrex, Dante Snapback.
I gotta look all these up on YouTube because my iTunes, for whatever reason, anytime I've ever opened up iTunes in any laptop I've ever had, it won't ever open iTunes. Like, it'll open in like 20 minutes.
Dante Snapback.
Yes, sir. Rest in peace, Virgil.
Yeah, that's the first time I heard his name actually, because he's his 2013 vibe. So that's before I knew you.
Impact was tremendous. Never will be forgotten.
It's crazy. I feel like he was one of those designers where people actually knew his name.
Yeah.
too. Like I said, like nobody would know Matt Williams is behind Alex. I feel like that's not really like a household name for people who like are not really into fashion. People want to know Jerry Lorenzo is behind Fear God. You know, people want to know some of these things. So he was like one of those where people actually knew who was behind the designs for the most part. Yeah,
It's your boy
I
Alex
feel
G.
like you got to give Drake that credit because you know Drake is such like a mainstream person. He brought up Virgil's name multiple times in his songs, so he probably put a lot of people onto Virgil.
At this point, though, Life is Good just came out.
No, but I'm saying like I feel like people know Off White, but I feel like a lot of people might not know Virgil. If that makes sense. Like people know brands, but might not necessarily know who's behind the brands. You know?
No.
No, I'm saying I just feel like Drake helped, like for like regular people, like not people who are actually into the stuff. Like people who are into stuff obviously knew about Virgil for a minute, but I'm talking about people like just regular people. Like they probably like who's Virgil? Like some nerd probably listens to the lyrics like Virgil. Drake always bringing on Virgil, and he typed it in, put two and two together. I'm sure there's a handful of people that got put on by Drake. But yeah, sad day.